guys, Mapletail here. Today I've got another sketchbook tour for y'all. This is my fall to winter sketchbook. A bit of a mix of art in here, but almost entirely original character focused. I ended up cleaning up and digitally coloring a bunch of these sketches in this one. And those drawings are up everywhere I post my art. But I also think it's neat to have a little book of all the rough drawings too. So let's take a look. The first page is always scary, so I mostly just skipped it here. Just testing my markers on the paper. And we've got the start date of August 20th. Which was really more the 27th. I was prepping for Catember at the time, so I did some catified sketches of my Baldur's Gate 3 OC August. If I can make someone a cat, I most certainly will. I was also watching Spy Family, so on the next page is a bunch of pen doodles of my own assassin characters inspired by the show. Adara, Hari, and Layla. This was when it was nice enough to be going to outdoor events still. So I was carrying my sketchbook around everywhere. I did some sketching at a music festival and a comic one, collecting a couple cute business cards at the latter. And I had test printed these D&D kitty stickers, but they needed another pass to fix some issues, so I stuck them in here just for reference. Estelle the Sorcerer, Nightingale the Fighter, Nyx the Wizard, Nova the Warlock, and Dove the Cleric. I still want to print the drawings I did for the rest of the classes, but with all the weird problems I ran into with this set, I've been putting it off a little bit. I also drew my Wildfrost kitty, Lura, as I think they would also make a really cute sticker. Speaking of Wildfrost, lots of OC doodles from the game here. Some Shademancer masks, and some of my OCs Shaderoot, Redloom, and Starloom. I was prepping to make some art fight references for them here, and lots more Lura. I got into a bit of an OC designing mood, and I did a bunch of sketches working out a character based on the Demon Horn goats that you sometimes have to fight in Wildfrost. I called him Wool, a partner for Redloom. And their son Desmond. I had a lot of fun designing these guys. Then I made my dad watch Epic the Musical with me, and this little sketch was for an animation that I put together for the occasion. More Lura and Desmond here, who I decided ought to be friends based on their similar vibes and demonic powers. And I spent as much time out of the house as I could around this time, so I took the opportunity to do some sketching on my walks, drawing various plants and animals I would see. Some more of that here. I really liked how these colors went together. And while I haven't played Hollow Knight myself, I did watch someone play Silksong, and I really wanted to do some drawings of Hornet. That game has some great character design. A whole spread of Baldur's Gate 3 OCs here. The first half is focusing on August's parents and themselves as a parent, and the second focusing on their blood-soaked past. Oh, then some sketches I did for my Stormclan's Folly review. A bunch of the book's characters here. This one was a wild read. More August, along with December, and some sketches of their sibling dynamic. These two deserve medals for dealing with all the trauma I dumped on them these past couple months. And more December. I always find it helpful to process whatever I happen to be going through by giving similar problems to my OCs. My sketches for Boktober here. The Chicken Drawing Challenge. It was fun to switch things up. And we're back to Wildfrost. I did a ridiculous amount of art challenges in October. There are just so many fun ones. These sketches are for Loretober, going into the backstory and friendships of Desmond. More Loretober, focusing on my OC Ire, who I've never drawn before, exploring his story and relationships with Amaranth, Kira, and Nox. Then it was OC-tober too, one I always look forward to. Sketches preparing for some color palette swaps between my OCs, my sun-themed ones and their darker counterparts, and D&D versions of my OCs Essen and Willow. These were meant to be one-off designs, but I've had a lot of fun drawing them since. And like immediately on the next page, them again. This was for a Cursed Relics art challenge. OCs Essen, Willow, Nova, and Lura. each of them getting drawn with 3 of the prompts, mostly weapons, articles of clothing, or other cursed items. It was a really neat challenge, and it helped me have a little bit of fun with our outfits. Here I got a bit of a fancy sparkly gel pen, and some cute little guys for my shelf at a belated birthday party, which also happened to be Lesbian Day, so I drew a bunch of couples and queer headcanons around all the tags and cards I taped in. Back to art challenges with even more OC-tober. I found a bunch of prompts for OCs that I wanted to add to Artfight, but hadn't actually properly drawn yet. Mostly older OCs from a pirate story. Some sketches of Avery from the board game Mall Madness of all things, and more of my walk drawings. Low-key forgot I did even more OC-tober sketches. This spread was for my preview of the final graphic novel remake of The Prophecies Begin. Had to draw some Barley and Ravenpaw, as well as Firestar and Bluestar from that book. Then some Essen and Ever for some interesting OC-tober prompts. Also more stickers that were giving me trouble. These ones based on K-pop Demon Hunters. The Pokemon Legends ZA release day. I was so hyped for this game, and it absolutely lived up to it for me. Get ready for many pages dedicated to it. And lots of my Pokemon trainer. The night before the game released, I drew my trainer, who I ended up calling Xavia, in all the games I've played as her. Those with character customization at least. X, Sun, Ultra Sun, Sword, Legends Arceus, and Violet, all seen here. I mean, I've played both versions of most of these games, but we're only counting the first one. The next day, I bust to buy the game, after making sure it would actually function properly on my Switch 1, which it does surprisingly well. I kept my sketchbook close by while I played, doing many doodles of Xavia as I figured out how I wanted to customize her in this new game. I'm just as interested in the clothing as the Pokemon. I decided to give her a new outfit and later hair color for each time I ranked up in the game, drawing each one. I was also thrilled to find myself an Absol. It's been far too long since I've been able to use my favorite Pokemon on my team. And, you know, the main story of this game is fun and all, but I got distracted by shiny hunting pretty quickly. I drew the first one I caught here, a little Litleo. It was also really cool to see the game's museum have this whole gallery dedicated to Legends Arceus. So I drew a little sketch of my trainer looking at an ancient painting of the shores she once walked. More new outfits and shinies for Xavia. It was such a pain to find a shiny Esper, but so worth it for little Butters here. I doodled that whole experience. I just wanted to remember how challenging it really was. This zone in the game may be so broken for shiny hunting, but it still took me days for that little pink cat to spawn. I feel like I really started to have fun with my colors on this page. It's one of my favorite spreads because of it, and that definitely has nothing to do with the fact that I'd met my new favorite Pokemon NPC and drew him a bunch here. Corbeau has such a fun design to draw. Love his poisonous purple color scheme and overall vibe. Tiny break from that Pokemon hyperfixation to attend Comic-Con. I drew fan art of a bunch of the characters I bought stickers and keychains of here. Mostly K-pop Demon Hunters and Baldur's Gate 3, but a little Epic the Musical and Detroit Become Human too. Also, lots of cute business cards. And we're back to Pokemon. A little more Corbeau and Xavia, and some Pokemon trainer versions of some of my other OCs. Essen, August, Hamera, and Lura, along with what I think would be their favorite Pokemon. Another of my favorite spreads for sure. I still kind of want to digitize some of these, but I just like the sketches so much. And at this point, I was also trying to complete 1,000 trainer battles in CA, so all those little tally marks are me counting how many days it took in-game to achieve that. My last Pokemon page for a bit. I'd finally beaten the game. Designed a couple more OCs with Tarn and Kama here, and did some doodles based on the final showdown. November is always the month of drawing Baldur's Gate 3 OCs for me, with the art challenge Tavember. So I did a bunch of OC sketching for that. 2 spreads worth. I really like how this page of pink OC drawings turned out for a potential silkscreen project. Luna, Nyx, Lura, and August, all being featured here. And And oops, I guess I was wrong about being done with the whole Pokemon thing. I forgot I designed Xavia's parents here, Feyre and Darkin. I also did a little sketch that would go on to inspire the drawing I did for my video about shiny hunting in ZA. I sketched some of the prep work for that we often choose our favorite characters because we see ourselves in them art trend, and some moving doodles. I drew Essen and Willow, but it was really more about me and my impending move. Some more of that pair here. This page really stands out to me with how delicate I did some of the lines. It's the only time I really drew like that in the sketchbook, which was just interesting to me. Then a bunch of Lura in some fun outfits. I just like dressing that little guy up. I got a bunch of swatches for choosing a new room color, so I decided to draw on some of them and cut some others up in some fun shapes just for decoration. I got the green one just because of the Soda Pop name. I had to draw a little Genu on it. Then August and December with some colors I associate with them, and myself on the color I actually chose for my room. Then a whole page of my Among Us OC, purple. Just for nostalgia's sake, I miss her sometimes. New house, new me. I drew all the characters who had been holding all my moving stress, giving them some well-deserved peace. Most have been drawn before in this sketchbook, but Noah got added here. As I said, I draw him again once my situation changed for the better. Swatched a little bit of my room color paints too. There were some great art challenges in December as well, with Arctic Fight. And Brush Week, aka another excuse to put Lura in some fun outfits. Then I did something I rarely do these days. Read a book that isn't Warrior Cats. I reread an old favorite, The Wolves of Mercy Falls, doing a little wolf art here for that. There's less art in December in this sketchbook, as I actually switched to doing more art in my smaller sketchbook that I used for Catember. That one isn't quite finished, but I'll share it on the channel once it is. It was just a little easier to carry around in the winter. That's also where I started using the pen over marker sketches, which you'll see in a couple pages. With the release of Legends ZA's DLC, we're going back to Pokemon for a little bit. Drawing Xavia and some of the new shinies I hunted for, as well as that new Mega Absol. Such a cool design. And we picked Christmas. Drew my K-pop Demon Hunter OCs, Yule and Nari, as I wanted to match with the little derpy tiger cutouts that I pasted in. Some prep work here for my favorite characters of 2025 video, and some highlighter tests with Mapletail. The colors are so nice, I hope I can find some similar ones that aren't like from the dollar store that might last a little bit longer. After so many years, a new episode of Sandersides was released to YouTube. I loved the series back in the day and got super inspired when revisiting it. So I gave drawing the sides of my own personality a try here. Oh, so some more Baldur's Gate 3 LCs. My Little Drow Family and Second Chances. My New Year's spread. Let's get these guys out of the way. These sketches were for the first video in my Year of Art Challenges series, featuring Fanuary. And the business cards are from art I've had forever, but never hung up on the wall until now. And all these little silver shape cutouts are from one of those like Christmas crackers with the crowns inside. I just cut it up for some extra decoration. Some more business cards here from going through my stickers. And more Sandersides inspired art. Getting a little more into the design of each of my sides here. My ghost cat character too, that I tend to use for vent art. Wanted to draw them just for fun for once, and I really liked that teal layered on the peach, so I drew them a few times. Okay, more than a few times. Got a couple Mapletails in there too, and a slightly older OC, Minofer. If I'd started my YouTube channel a couple years earlier, she very well could have ended up my mascot. Full spread of expression practice here with August. Always a struggle for me, but I had a lot of fun here. Experimenting with the shape of the highlighters a bit too. And some outfit practice. Found a couple fancy fits on Tumblr and drew Nova and Dove in them. Really liked how Nova's turned out, especially. Back to Wild Frost on the next page with some Desmond and Lura. Also test prints of a Maja sticker that I made. I wanted to make this old Cat Timber drawing into a sticker forever, and I'm glad I finally got around to it. Had some offcuts of this like sparkly sticker lamination too, so I just cut it up into stars and placed it on this page, just to try it out. And some bits of paint from doing my nails. This here was for the prep work I did for my ongoing Warriors multi-animator project, Blue. I chose to animate Spotnose and Berryfall for it. They're both from Stormcloud's Folly. Both super background characters, but they had one moment together in the book that really stood out to me. I love an obscure ship, and this pairing is one I've yet to see any mention of, which does not surprise me. So you can't really get more niche than that. Did a little print out of the lyrics I was working with, as well as some of the digital art I did for the project. Then I dyed my hair, so I had to give a couple of my OCs the same treatment, with Essen and Willow again. Really liked this maroon on peach color palette. Bit of a mix here. Some more animation sketching, some Mapletails from when I injured my neck moving. It's almost back to normal now. And some August and Gortash from Baldur's Gate 3, with the lyrics to a Sarah Kinsley song that had just dropped at the time. The second page features Core and Jay, two of my other OCs, as I wanted to make more references for their art fight pages. Some new markers here. I just really wanted to pick up some more blue vibes, and some darker colors for outlining. A bunch of Nova sketches on this page to try them out. Then some more Essen and drawings of their current guardians on this page. Again for art fight. A whole spread of Wild Frost. This must have been when I got back into skating for the year, drawing some OCs in figure skating outfits. The first time I've drawn Lula in this sketchbook. Another drawing of her with her father on this page. I finally did something I've always wanted to do, but I've been far too anxious to for many years. I applied to table at an art market. This was a page of ideas for making print and hand-drawn stickers, with some of my sticker making scraps. You can see those here. None of it really ended up going anywhere, unlike the next page. The market I was applying to was doing a mascot contest for the event, and whoever won would be guaranteed a table, so I figured why not do everything I could to get in. I designed this little floral fox here. I got the design down pretty quick, but you can still see some evolution as it goes. I ended up naming her Vinka, after periwinkle flowers. Some more potential print ideas with a little egg cat, and tests of an actual print that I made of Pebble Nose and Thrushcall. Very tricky to get the colors printing correct. I did get them done eventually, none of these are the final version. And just a bunch of Mapletails manifesting and being anxious about maybe tabling. Some more Lura in some more outfits. And a little bit of posing practice. I finally found a good use for this dark purple atop the teal. I was really not happy with how it was looking on any other color, but I think it really works here. Then some actual posing practice, using a website that gave me random poses and picking some random OCs to go with that. Chimera, Petal, and Bird. The next two spreads were for my February Year of Art Challenges video, featuring the Baldur's Gate 3 Challenge Grand Revel, with a whole slew of OC sketches. This night, I found out I had gotten into the market I applied to. My Floral Fox winning the mascot contest. I was super hyped for about an hour, and then the dread set in. I wish I could just be excited about the things that I want to do and skip the whole anxious spiral part. I think I stressed myself out into getting a terrible headache, so I gave it to August in these drawings. This spread features a bunch of my OCs, all from the same section of my world, again for Art Fight, and it was just a story I was revisiting. Some family to Willow, with his kids, Skyla, Quince, Heather, Kana, and that's it. As well as some of their family, Nettle, Suri, Rode, and Keller. Little bit of a vibe shift for the final few pages. They all focus on various games that I've been playing the past couple months. This one was old Fields of Mistria, with my farmer in the game, Pask. I drew her for a video a couple weeks ago, though not from any of these sketches. More of her here, before moving on to Peak, drawing the little scout that I play as. That game is a wild time, so I just had to document some of the adventures my scout went on. Well, I was mostly dead in the game. I'm not very good at Peak, but hey, I used to be much worse. Here we have another split between Fields of Mistria and Peak. The first exploring Pask's relationships, drawings of March and her cat from the game, and I designed her a mother in Cordelia. The second showing my journey climbing to the top of Peak's mountains. Some sketches of a bit more of a human form of my scout here too. Okay, this one takes a little bit of explaining. I used to have a bunch of Among Us OCs back when I used to play the game a ton, not just Purple, who appeared earlier in the sketchbook. When I realized that Peak had basically the same colors in the character creator, the thought occurred to me that I could revive these old Among Us OCs in this new world. And once I have an art idea, there's little I can do to stop myself from making it happen. So here we are. The other page features Pask once again, in honor of me catching up to the game's update. I finished all the story content added in it, and I cannot wait to see what's next. Last spread. I've been replaying Terraria for like the 4th time. It's been years, so it's been cool seeing how the game has changed since then. I made a little Mapletail inspired character to play as this time, so there's some drawings of her and her adventures. And I don't usually draw on the last page, but this was for a request I got to draw Hollyleaf at the Warrior Cat's anniversary. Put it at the back so I could post it as a standalone page, instead of my usual full spreads. And that's that. Thanks for watching. It was cool to go through this and remind myself of how much has happened in my life the past 6 months. Seeing all these sketches, I can actually remember how I was feeling when I drew most of them. Feels a little like a time capsule in that way. It's been a particularly trying year, but I can see how much lighter I feel at the end of this sketchbook versus the start, and versus the last one. I've only just started my next sketchbook, but I hope I can keep things trending upwards. I look forward to whatever I draw either way. And with that, we'll see you next Thursday.